Friday, December 1st, market analysis, Stan Ehrlich. Good morning, 10:03 California time, and we have more and substantially more strength in two of the three major indexes. I always start out with the S&P. Here's the E-mini Christmas contract, new highs, and possibly a new high close, and overbought now for about 3 weeks. Tremendous strength, much more than I expected. We are now at the top of a resistance area, slightly a new high ground above Wednesday's high. It is important that we stay above Wednesday's high and above the high of the resistance area if there's going to be more, hard to believe, bullish follow through next week immediately, which I do not expect. I have to say, and I continue to do so because I've seen this too many times, the moment you change your mind about something that you're pretty sure you're going to be right about, all of a sudden you turn out right and you're starting to apologize for being wrong. Well, all I have to do at the moment is wait. So I think we're still going to have a downside correction. I think it's going to be easily below the lows of this week, and probably below the lows of last week as well. And my expectation is that we're going to have some sort of reversal all of a sudden, whether there's a ER sell signal or not. And I'm looking for a move back down to 44.20 something next, and before Christmas. Next chart is the spider itself. Now there are gaps to close, and this is a 241.5 in the spider. New high in a resistance area still, not much more to go. Overbought like crazy. I can't help it. Maybe something will happen over the weekend. I have no idea. But this looks like it is extremely close to turning down. Next chart. DIA, unbelievable. Well, we've had two whopping big up days relative to the last few weeks, whopping up days. But we've done this recently, just 3 or 4 weeks ago, moved up very sharply, but that was a different situation. Now we're clearly a new high ground for the second day since, oh gosh, almost the beginning of the bear market. The very top, which was on for the DIA January 5th of 2022, the beginning of January. Now, I don't think that was the case for the NASDAQ like November, December, but spider in the DIA, same day, bearish engulfing. Our system, my system, got the high of the move. And we got buy signals in most indexes on October 13th, this day right here. The DIA didn't because it didn't quite get oversold. Everything else did. Enough of that. Too much higher, too much quicker, too overbought conditions. We are at 91 on the RSI at this point. That's how overbought we are. When is the last time this, oh my gosh, I don't see one. When's the last time this market got to 91 on the RSI daily? On my custom RSI, at least March of 21. And yeah, okay. I've got to go back to a super strong rally June of 20 to see a different, an equally high RSI. I can't help it. They never stay up here. End of story. Next chart. Russell, 2000, broke through the resistance. It had a little double top forming maybe, but now with an outside up day, it's overbought again. Last time it only lasted for 1 day and pulled back a little. Not enough to close the gap. There's still that gap to close. So what can I say? Overbought, still in a big mucky area of trading range that it's been in for a very long period of time, a couple of years basically. And until this thing gets above on a closing basis, approximately 200, that would be super bullish, super long term. QQQ. can't even today so far get above yesterday's high, let alone new high ground. Or maybe we just did a few minutes ago by a few ticks. Right smack at a little resistance, did get overbought and not anymore. This looks like what I expected, or even a little stronger, the spider and the DIA to look like, and they don't. Next chart is the NASDAQ futures contract, NQ. Same story here. It seems to be topping out okay as far as I'm concerned. If the other indexes come tumbling down Monday or Tuesday, this is going to be leading the way down. Okay, futures markets. S&P E-mini December futures contract, different perspective, poking its head above resistance, barely, very overbought, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Next chart is the NASDAQ, a little bit different perspective. Now, bonds have been rallying and they persist. No surprise. We are still in this bullish trade in bonds, and we're almost high and last. Above everything else, since the bottom, since we had an ER buy signal, those are the ones I live for. They're great. And that's why I built the trading system to catch major turning points, as well as short-term ones also. My upside objectives are basically being reached at this point. 118 and small change. There's a little bit better resistance at 1910. We're getting very close to overbought yesterday. Not quite so much at the moment, but I am expecting this to blow off the top here. Not that much, a little bit higher, maybe a point or two next week early, and start to correct downward. We are still long ER3 from the 2 days after the bottom of the market, which has got an ER buy signal green. The strategy is available. info@ersignals.com. Next, bottom of the market and 10-year notes with an ER buy signal, got long 2 days later for ER3. Still in the trade, high and last at the moment, and a new high ground, totally working, just doing great. The upside objective on this modest sized head and shoulder bottom, which so far is working perfectly, happens to be, again, minimum upside objective 112, close to 113, almost 113, which would be right about there. So I'll call it 113. A little under. So it's doing great. We're already up to 110.20. So what can I say? We're not overbought yet, but we're getting close. So that's very, very normal. Somewhere between here and the objective, I do expect a minor downside correction for a few days or something, and then up again to the objective. So I'm basically bullish, period, and minor, nothing to speak of corrections should happen soon. Next. And the same thing, no, it doesn't. Crude oil, sideways, inside doji, barely a little higher. Now, yesterday was a bearish engulfing candlestick. That implies it's going to start to move down. By bouncing a little bit at the moment today, it doesn't really mean too much to me. It's pretty irrelevant, does not change yesterday's modest sell signal. But the modest sell signal, if you will, could cause a downside breakout, and it may drop even below the 72.25 level into this support area, and the next level down would be about 66. Next, and I'm bearish, natural gas. Oversold, possible bullish engulfing. If today by the close we get above yesterday's high, and we're not very far from it, this will turn green and give me an official buy signal. Hey, the last one didn't work at all. But we never take large losses. We always have a protective stop in immediately upon entering a trade. Automatically. You can change these things. Now, bearish engulfing, almost the top, great signal. It's an okay signal. And these made a little money for a short period of time, and that one was pretty good. And that buy signal was pretty good. Next chart. We got the heating oil. We are easing into this support area. Doesn't look like it wants to stop. It made a lower low, and it's a little lower on the day at the moment. Yesterday was a bearish engulfing, so that one's working a little better than the other. So no change of opinion. I think it's going to come down to 2.6 and break that level. And then the next level lower than that is probably going to be in the area of 2.4 and underneath that. Well, we'll see if we get a bearish breakout. I am bearish. Next, cocoa. Wow. Okay. Overbought conditions are pretty substantial. Approximately 80. New high close likely. Could pop even up higher, closer to these old highs that we had back in April, May. But it should run out of steam real soon. Overbought for 4 days now. Don't go buying this at these levels. We're looking for sell signals. I'm bullish, but I'm looking for a correction because of the overbought conditions. Next, silver. Hey, I got to say the same thing about silver. Wait a minute, what was that? Yeah, that was gold. Did I say cocoa? Sorry. That was gold. So what I just said was about gold. Now, silver. Pretty much the same thing. Overbought for a few days in a resistance area specifically for silver, and is in a place where it could easily have a little downside correction. But I am bullish. I can't help but be. We're starting to see higher highs for longer periods of time, which is one of those little benchmark tools. And it's looking a lot better than I expected it to look like when we were back down here. So that's the best I can say. Wouldn't buy it here. I'd look for a minor correction and buy that and look for higher levels. Next, platinum. Hasn't gotten its rear end started yet. Resistance stopped the rally, and that was only from a few weeks earlier. We're going sideways today, and yes, there could be a bottom building. If that's true, we're going to start closing over 958, but that hasn't happened yet. Resistance is stopping almost every single rally we have seen since spring. Actually, yeah, April 24th. And we've had lower lows. And so that rhythm, so to speak, has not been broken. Next, bearish. Heating oil. Hot copper. Can't read today. Copper. New high close. There's another resistance level above. This is looking a little bit more interesting, I have to say, from a longer term basis. A little late to the party, so to speak. I'm very concerned about buying something, even though it's a bit of a breakout to the upside, because we got overbought. So now I'm going to get back in the rhythm of things and look to buy a dip to the downside and then higher highs. Next, soybeans, we're still long from the bottom of the market. That day it turned around October 12th. Ehrlich ER buy signal, Ehrlich reversal buy signal, green. Now, we could have gotten out at the top when we got overbought. System doesn't do that. Try to stay with the trade long enough for it to develop into something maybe really good, big. And we just missed getting stopped out. So if we do make a low lower than this week's lows, we will be out of the trade with a profit. But I'm looking for new highs real soon, almost immediately, or we're going to be bumped out. Next, we had a fantastic longer-term trade short on soybean oil. We got out a couple of weeks ago. It's gone flat since then. In fact, we're almost exactly at the same price. Didn't go up or down very much in the meantime either. The trend is down. Just because the head and shoulder top produced 50 objective and we got down to 49 or 8, it doesn't mean that that's a long-term low. We could easily make lower lows again. I'll wait to make a decision. Soybean meal now has a lower low than the last few weeks, and the recent rally high is now, excuse me, cough, looking more and more like a longer term possible double top formation, which would be hugely bearish, major bear market. Double tops need a close below the lowest low between the two highs in order to have a downside breakout, which should produce, textbook example, would be the same distance from the lowest low to the average high or highest high. So that just eyeballing it would be something down to about a little under 260. Right now, I got to look for lower levels, but the next level down isn't much. I talked about it a couple of days ago, 403. It's almost there. That's going to bounce, get some support, and we're almost oversold. So yeah, that works out pretty well. 403 would be my short-term Monday, Tuesday, downside objective and a bounce, and then lower after that. Next, corn. We got a buy signal on the bottom Wednesday. I screamed bloody murder, so to speak, on that day. We're long, doing great so far. We're up another nickel today at the moment and starting to chew into some resistance, but we're nowhere near overbought. We're neutral as hell, down around 50-ish. I'm looking for a lot higher. Well, I can't say that. I'm looking for at least a move up to 495. Maybe we're going to see it have a small dip to the downside at this point. My problem is this is definitely a long-term bear market still. We don't have any significant evidence that it's turned into a bull market 2 or 3 days after the bullish engulfing. I can't come up with any pattern or major trading range that tends to tell me that it's going to turn bullish long-term. So basically, I'm looking for this rally to come up to resistance, maybe the red zone 513, and give me a sell signal. Next, wheat. Same kind of comments. Resistance overhead, long-term bear market. Maybe it's going to come up to a little 465 and turn down. Next, live cattle. Got oversold, had a rally. Now we're almost making new lows again, just like we did a couple of weeks ago, just like we did a couple of weeks before that, just like we did a couple of weeks before that. We caught the top. We caught a high. We caught a high. Almost on the high. We caught the high. We caught the low. Not bad. Next. It's oversold, bouncing between a rock and a hard spot. I tend to believe we're going to challenge these lows at 65, 70-ish. And then maybe we're going to get down as low as 57. Hogs. Okay, next. OJ. Hey, this bearish engulfing high so far is now the highest high, like I thought this one was going to be, and it crashed for 3 days. This one's coming down a lot more normally. We actually got an ER3 new short position the next day afterwards, and we're looking for this to continue to trend lower. I have to make a minor adjustment. There we go. So I'm looking for a longer term trend to the downside. We are making new lows. This is the high day. Next stopping point to the downside could easily be 344. Next, cocoa. No sign the trend has changed. Just got overbought, got a minor correction, which we would definitely expect. I told you it was coming soon. We're already today back to the first little teeny weeny support level. It's no big deal, but maybe we'll dribble off to about 4,056 and maybe 3,947-ish. But the real support is down here at 3765, around 3777. Let's see what happens. I can't come up to any conclusion. Coffee, resistance, stopped it at the high of the day, turned around, and is now almost lower on the day, almost. If we close lower on the day, we'll also be closing lower than the bottom of the resistance area. And for 1.5 of yesterday days, the resistance has stopped it, and the close is under, if it can do it, if it can do it today. Now, if it can't, we're still on the way down, it looks like, because of overbought conditions and resistance. It's going to be maybe the best level would be 165, and then we'll see what happens. Next, sugar. Bounced off of so far the beginning of support. Oversold second day. Big 2 down days in a row. And RSI is now down to 16, 17. Yeah. So that's pretty low. I think it's about to bounce. I would be looking for sell signals on a bounce. If I don't get any and we continue to get stronger quicker without getting overbought, this could make new highs. The long-term trend does not necessarily seem to have changed. Cotton bouncing or trying to off of support. You know, this is a very critical area, the support area. You break below 76.80 and it's got nowhere to go but south, pretty much. Otherwise, a minor rally up to 82 would be enough to cause it probably to go back up to 88, but we're basically between a rock and a hard spot. And back to the E-mini, which is starting to slip a little, not very much. Let's quickly take a look at the short-term charts on the indexes. And we've come down on the spider from 459.60 to 880, close to a point, or 9. And even, we dropped a whole point, and now in the last 10 minutes, we're rallying a little. So a little bit of a dip and a little bit of a dip. Nothing particularly different than before. You guys have a great weekend. Profitable trading to you.